I have 3 weeks worth of pregnancy updates to film. I'm going to try to keep it to 20 minutes or less, which is probably not going to happen. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I'm documenting my 2018 pregnancy. So today we are going to be going over weeks 18, 19, and 20. So it's kind of a lot of content, but kind of not, so I'm going to try to keep it short. So today I am 20 weeks and 1 day pregnant, and I'll be 20 weeks and 2 days pregnant in approximately 4 hours. I cannot believe I've made it halfway, and I have been so monstrously busy the past few weeks that I just haven't had time to sit down and film. So I'm cramming it all in right now, and hopefully we can get through it. So when I was 18 weeks pregnant, that whole week, a bunch of really crappy things happened. If you watched my 17 weeks video, I said that the following week would be a whole lot of boring. I probably should not have said that because it was anything but boring. My daughter was still having the stomach flu, and then my husband got the stomach flu, and then I got the stomach flu, and it was horrible. I was violently ill, like violently ill from all angles for 12 hours, only 12 hours. And in that time, I lost almost 2 kilograms of weight, which, you know, is all fluid. But it took me a long time to recover from that. So yeah, I was really, really sick for that one day. I slept like the entire next day, and then I finally got back on my feet. But for that whole week of like 18 to 19 weeks pregnant, I didn't work out at all. I just did light housework and rested and took care of myself. I had the presence of mind, thank God, to make chicken broth, homemade chicken broth with the bones of a whole hen that I had roasted. And I had made it for my daughter, actually, in hopes that she might drink it because she had the flu. But then she recovered, and I ended up drinking the entire thing, like liters and liters of chicken broth. It was the only thing I could keep down for a couple days. And so I had a bit of a craving for that whole week. And I tried recreating the broth that I had made, and it never ended up tasting as good as it did the first time. So maybe it was just because I was sick and needed that recipe, and once I was better it just didn't taste as good. But it's been a bit of a bummer because I've tried recreating it 2 or 3 times since then, and it's just been completely uninspiring, so that's unfortunate. Also in that week I started getting Braxton Hicks every day, and it was always in the evening, which was the pattern I had with my daughter, except my daughter's Braxton Hicks situation didn't start until I was 38 weeks, not 18 weeks. And I had posted in one of these Facebook due date groups, if anyone else, like second time, third time moms, whatever, were experiencing Braxton Hicks this early in pregnancy. And one of the girls said that her OB said that Braxton Hicks that happened before 20 weeks is usually attributed to dehydration, which, duh, I'd just been super sick. And it had, the weather was still super hot back then. So I drank all the drinks. I was drinking water, I was drinking broth, I was drinking electrolyte water, I was drinking juice. I was trying not to just drink water because I wanted to get like electrolytes in my body. And so once I had a few days of super hydration, then I felt fine, and I have not felt Braxton Hicks since, so that's really nice. A couple other things about 18 weeks is that I noted that I was sleeping really poorly. I was having repetitive dreams, which even now in this week and last week, I still am not sleeping well. I'm just having really lame dreams, where I get stuck in the plot and I can't get to like the resolution of the dream, it just sort of plays over and over and over, and I wake up and I'm just like, God, this is so like boring. Can we move on to the next dream topic? So that's lame. I also started iron supplements in 18 weeks, and I did that because based off of a blood test I took when I was only 4 weeks and 1 day pregnant, I got a letter in the mail from my local healthcare center saying that based on my results, I should start taking iron supplements at around 20 weeks. And I don't know why I started them early, but I just did. And they have been messing up my stomach so bad. I hate them. I've already cut my dose in half. I only take 1 pill at night now. And it seems to be working, I guess, but I really, really hate these supplements, and I'm wondering if I even should bother taking them because I feel fine. But who knows? I don't have my next midwife appointment until I am 26 weeks pregnant, and I'm only 20 weeks. And my last midwife appointment was when I was 8 weeks, so I have like this ridiculous gap in seeing any kind of healthcare professional to take blood and let me know like how my biochemistry is. So I'm just sort of going off of letters I got in the mail telling me what to take, which I don't know. I don't know if that's smart, but it's what my doctors are doing, so there you go. At the end of 18 weeks, I had lost half a kilogram from my prior week's weigh-in, and so I clocked in at 69.9 kilograms, which was approximately 1 kilogram under where I should be if I was to follow that schedule I've made for myself to make sure I gain like the right amount of weight in pregnancy. And that's that. So that was 18 weeks. Oh, another thing, which I don't know if I mentioned, was I never got the bullseye pattern from the tick bite I got when I was 16 weeks pregnant. So apparently I didn't get Lyme disease, which is also known as Borrelia. And I also never developed tick-borne encephalitis. Either that or I never exhibited symptoms for it. So that's good. So now the tick bite that I got when I was 16 weeks pregnant is no longer an issue, and I'm very thankful for that. Moving on to 19 weeks, the Braxton Hicks had all gone away, but heartburn started. And I have had heartburn every night now since I was like 19 plus 0, and it doesn't seem like it's been a long time, but it feels like it's been a lifetime that I've been dealing with this. And I haven't bought any kind of calcium medication to make it go away. I just haven't gotten around to it. So I need to do that, but it's always at night, and it doesn't matter if I'm laying down or not. Like after 9 p.m., I get heartburn, and it doesn't matter if I'm at the gym or if I'm asleep or if I'm like cooking or whatever. I don't know. It's just always after 9 p.m. and it's the worst at midnight. It's horrible, and that's always when I have to get up to pee, and like my throat is on fire and I feel like my esophagus is melting, so that's not fun. I noted that I have had days of like super extra cervical fluid, which I'm sure is normal and just hormonally related. Yes, my belly. Okay, so my baby bump situation kind of started to be very noticeable in my 19th week, and now it is here. It is, I have a bump. It's undeniable. It is here. And it seems to be growing by the day. So that was really exciting though, because it sort of felt like things were really starting to happen. And I should note that when I was 19 plus 0, I had my anatomy scan, and isn't this going to be a story? If you follow my Instagram page, you already know like the story and the results and everything like that. But if you don't, then I'll just recap it here. I went to my scan. I was supposed to be 19 plus 0, and it turns out I was officially measuring 19 plus 3, and so my official due date, which will now no longer change, is December 31st, New Year's Eve. I don't know. I'm gonna end up with a Christmas baby. I just know it. I just know this baby's gonna end up coming on Christmas. I really hope I can hold out until January 1st because it makes such a big difference here in terms of schooling. All the kids born in a singular calendar year start school at the same time. So if this baby is born at the very end of December, it will be the youngest, smallest, well, theoretically smallest child in its grade. Whereas if it's born in the beginning of January, it will have like that much extra age, what's the word, advantage. You know, it'll be bigger and stronger, a little more mature. I don't know. I don't know if either is ideal. I don't think I'd really, if it was me, I don't think I'd want to be the oldest kid in my class. That would be kind of lame. But on the other hand, I don't know about being the youngest. I was the youngest child in all of my classes. My mom started me in kindergarten when I was 4. And so I was always 2 years younger than like everybody in my class. I started college when I was 17 years old. When most kids were like 18 and 19. So, and I did struggle with that. I was, I got my periods later than everyone. I matured later. I was not like developmentally and mentally and emotionally as ahead or like equal to my peers. And it was hard. I did notice that it was an issue. So I don't know. I don't know what like the best scenario is. I guess just whenever baby's ready to come, it will come. But I would like to get as far away from Christmas as possible. Like let's get away from Christmas. But we'll see. So yeah, so anatomy scan, baby was doing excellent. I had just a wonderful sonographer, and she did all the measurements. She showed me everything. Like the baby's anatomy was brilliant, and its abdomen was measuring at 20 weeks and 5 days. So almost 21 weeks, which is kind of crazy. But it also had a ton of fluid in its belly from like swallowing amniotic fluid, and so that probably distended it a bit. But I don't know if she was measuring like thickness or length. Maybe it just has a super long torso. I don't know. My daughter has a really long torso, and so does my husband. So maybe it just has a really long body. I don't know. But everything was fine. Brain looked fine. Heart rate was 145 beats per minute. And let's see, what else was there to note before we get to the gender? My placenta. So it is still low-lying. That was very obvious on the scan, but she only did an abdominal scan. She did not do a transvaginal, so she couldn't tell me how much coverage I had, if it was any better or worse than my 16-week scan. All she told me was she looked me dead in the eyes and told me this is not something to be worried about. She told me your uterus is here and it needs to go all the way up to here. That's a lot of growing distance. And I had told her, I had expressed my worry because I had read that when you have a posterior placenta, which is the placenta in the back of your womb, that it's not as likely to move out of the way as if it were anterior. Presumably because like the anterior part of your belly, it's not only growing up, but it's growing out. So it's just like that much more stretching and movement away from the cervix, whereas if it's posterior, it kind of only just incrementally goes up against your spine. But she brought up a good point and said that if it was anterior and it didn't move, which, that could be the case, then I'd be up against the issue of having to have a C-section with an anterior placenta, low-lying anterior placenta, which can be really dangerous because it's hard to get around the placenta to get the baby out. So she goes, there's pros and cons to each one. And she told me really to just try not to worry about it, that I have plenty of time and blah, blah, blah. So I have another scan, a transvaginal, scheduled for when I'm 34 weeks pregnant. And I'm very torn about that date. I'm very much on the fence of scheduling a private scan at around 30 weeks, which I know is only 4 weeks difference. You know, I could just wait the extra 4 weeks and have my scan at 34 weeks. But for me personally, I don't want to wait until 34 weeks because I feel like I'm going to spend that whole time stressing about whether it has moved or not. I'm not going to be able to focus on any kind of meaningful childbirth preparation because on the one hand, I think I'm going to feel like it's pointless to prepare for a vaginal birth because, you know, how am I going to invest my heart and my, you know, all of my intentions in that if I don't actually know if I'm going to get it? I don't want to set myself up for heartbreak. I'd rather like be more realistic about what my options are. But then I don't want to go full on into like giving up on it and only preparing for a cesarean when statistically I have really good odds of this resolving itself. So I've read that you know, like X percentage of women, their Previa cases have resolved by 28 to 32 weeks. And then your odds drop a lot if you still have Previa between that point and like 34 to 36 weeks. And then, of course, they drop even further between that point and delivery if you still have coverage for it to resolve itself, because there's just not much more room for it to go upward, you know, like whatever. So part of me really wants to do a private scan and just see, because if it has resolved itself or there's only just the tiniest bit left there at like 30 weeks ish, then I'm going to be like, okay, I'm feeling hopeful. I'm going to go into like childbirth preparation a lot differently. And if the coverage is still bad or worse, then I'm going to be like, okay, I am mentally prepared. And I've got 10 weeks or maybe probably less than that to prepare for, you know, like all the kinds of things I would like to do to make sure I'm ready for a cesarean. So I don't know. I just don't want to wait until 34 weeks because it's just going to be too hard on me mentally. So I think I'm going to do a private scan at 28 to 30 weeks, probably 30 weeks. And then I'll do the government covered scan at 34 weeks to see what it says, if I need it still. Gender. So here's the funny story. We had originally had a gender reveal party scheduled for the day after my anatomy scan, and we were going to do a variation of the dart game. So we had built a little wall out of like old plywood, I think it's called, like sheet wood, and we'd taken a bunch of random nails and just nailed it in. So it was like a spike board, right? And then we had it. It was kind of like an easel where we had it rested up against two 2x4s so that it was well supported. So it was just like a wall of wood with spikes, okay? And then I had ordered a thing of 30 black balloons, and we were going to fill 29 of them with water and put them in either a barrel, like a wheelbarrow or a big tub or something. And then we were going to have one balloon in the mix that had either blue paint or pink paint. We were going to ask the sonographer to figure out the gender, write it on a piece of paper. We were going to give it to my sister-in-law. She was going to just pick whichever balloon, the blue or the pink, that corresponded to the gender, and she was going to put it into the mix. And then we were going to have all these people over, and we were going to toss one balloon at a time. Everyone was going to take a turn, taking one of these balloons, either a water balloon or a paint balloon, and just throwing it at the nail board and watching it explode. And obviously we just keep doing that until we get to the paint one, and then that's the gender reveal. But we ended up giving the stomach flu to my husband's entire family, his nieces and nephews, his sisters, his whole family. So pretty much 70% of our party was not going to be able to make it. And it was going to be a thunderstorm, so it would, you know, we wouldn't be able to be outside anyway. And on top of that, we are having such a really dry and droughty summer that we're not allowed to grill or have fires or anything, so our plans of having a cookout were completely out the window also. So, you know, the gender reveal party was not going to happen. So we canceled it, and we decided, okay, we're going to take these 2 black balloons. We're going to fill one with blue confetti and one with pink confetti. We put a blue clip on the blue confetti one, and we put a pink clip, it's just sandwich bag clip, whatever, on the pink one. We took them to the ultrasound and we asked the tech, we said, look, we have these two balloons. When you find out the gender, take whichever balloon that's not the gender and just throw it away. The clip and all, just throw it away. For the balloon that is the gender, take off the clip. So, just throw it away. We don't need it. Keep it, throw it away, whatever. And just give us back the bare balloon. And we were going to take the balloon to a restaurant. After our scan, we were going to just dangle it over the table and pop it and see what confetti came out. And that was going to be our own private little gender reveal. And we decided, okay, that's a compromise. We'll do it. Well, we went through all of the hassle of describing that, game that we wanted to do. And I lay down and she puts the wand right on my belly. And the second she presses down, what do we see on the screen but the exact potty shot? Like, it was just right there, and it was no denying what we were looking at least not for me. Maybe my husband didn't know, but from my reaction, I knew he knew. And it was just no denying, we are having a boy. We are having a boy, you guys, and it's a boy. So that is super, super exciting. I knew it all along. I knew it. I knew I was having a boy. I knew there was no way I was having a girl. So just to recap all of the old wives' tales, the Mayan calendar was wrong. The Chinese calendar was wrong. They both said I was going to have a girl. Baking soda test was wrong, and I have that in a film earlier in my channel, which you can see there was 0 fizz. So that was saying it was a girl, and I am not having a girl. The ring test was wrong. Let's see. The heart rate. So there's this thing where if the baby's heart rate is under 140 beats per minute, it will be a boy, and if it's above, it'll be a girl. This baby's heart rate is 145, so technically it's wrong, but it's sort of borderline. The nub theory was correct. And I didn't really study skull theory, and I didn't ask anyone to look into it, but I read about it a little, and from what I saw, I thought maybe I saw more boy traits than girl traits for skull theory, so I think that was right. Let's see. And then for symptoms, I have been craving throughout my pregnancy on and off meat and salt, which they say are boy cravings. And with my daughter, I only craved fruit, which they say is girl cravings. So that is probably true. I didn't really have morning sickness in either of my pregnancies, but I don't know, with my daughter, I had really bad food aversions, and I had no nausea. With this pregnancy, I did have nausea. I had a mild hangover feelings. I did puke once. I didn't puke at all with my daughter. And with both pregnancies, I had a really strong gag reflex. So, I think they say that when you have really bad morning sickness, that leads to a girl, but I feel like I had more of that with my boy pregnancy than my girl pregnancy. So I'm going to say that's wrong. My skin has been clear with both pregnancies, so that's, the whole steal your beauty type old wives' tale didn't really pan out for me. I did have one dream that it was going to be a girl this pregnancy, so my one dream was wrong. But my gut was right. I knew it was a boy all along, and so I'm going to say that was a win, a mother's intuition. I thought my daughter was a boy too. But I think that was more because I wanted a boy and not because my gut was telling me it was a boy. This time my gut was telling me it was a boy. So that is that. Moving on to 20 weeks, which is where we're at now. Like I said, I am 20 plus 1, so in my 20th week, which would be whatever, the week I just finished, continued heartburn, and I have been having more fatigue and more cravings for meat. So I think that whole theory of me needing to take iron supplements around 20 weeks might actually hold some value, because I think I might actually be a little bit low on iron right now, just based off of the fatigue and the cravings. I've also been having some pretty epic mood swings. Yesterday I spent the whole entire first 2/3 of the day with extreme energy and joy, like so much joy that I wanted to cry. And in fact, I did cry. I was very sensitive about so many things, but just full of so much love and gratitude and excitement. And then, like, the last third of the day, I was a raging bee. Like, not fun to be around, tired and cranky, and had no patience, and just everything ticked me off, and it was no good. And I've kind of been more or less the same today. Like, felt pretty good at the beginning of the day, and then as the day went on, I just kind of, I don't know, my attitude fell apart. I have not been sleeping that well, again, because of those repetitive dreams, but also because I'm just not tired. So I've been having to take a little bit of Unisom to help me sleep. And the last little bit before I get to my weigh-in was I referred to my baby as my son for the first time yesterday, and it just took my breath away. I can't even explain how weird and awesome it is to say my son. Like, I can't believe I'm having a son. I'm having a boy. I have spent the past 3 years saying my daughter, you know, which I remember feeling like it was totally weird to say that too, but I've gotten used to it. And now, like, I have a boy. My husband is so overjoyed. He is so happy. When he found out for reals that it was a boy, he started to cry. He was so proud. He called everybody when we left our scan to tell them that he was having a son. Yeah, it was really, really special. And we are 90% sure on the name. I think we still need to sit on it for a couple weeks and make sure that it feels right for both of us. But I think the more we refer to the baby by this name, the more it sticks. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have a name for it. And the next video I'm going to film, which I actually think I'm going to film right after this one, are the 8 girl names and the 8 boy names that we are not going to use. And this is our last baby, so we are never going to use these names. So I thought I would share them anyway, because I really love watching name videos. They give me a lot of good ideas and names to kind of look into a little bit. So I will do that shortly. But last but not least, I, as of yesterday, weigh 71.1 kilograms, which is up only 0.2 kilograms from last week's weigh-in, which I don't think I mentioned, but I was 70.9 kilograms at 19 weeks. But the weight gain was small because my due date got bumped up 3 days. So I went from 19 plus 0 to 19 plus 4 the next day. So yeah, I weigh 71.1. That's up 0.2 kilograms from my 19-week weigh-in. And it's up 4.5 kilograms from my starting pre-pregnancy weight. So I feel like for 20 weeks, only having gained 4.5 kilograms is good for me. I think I have somewhere around like 8.8. Oh golly, what's like 14 minus 4.5? What is that, like 9.5? Okay, I've got like 9.5 kilograms I can still gain in order to be within the normal weight gain range at the end of the pregnancy. So I feel like I'm on track. I have been working out in the mornings. I've been working out from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And if you're interested in any of that, I upload almost all of my prenatal workout routines on my Instagram page. My Instagram name is @an_expat_mommy in Sweden. So an expat mommy in Sweden. And it's a public page. You don't have to follow it. You know, you can just pop in if you want. Lastly, I know I've said lastly a bunch of times, but I figured I'd just share this stuff anyway. I bought myself a labor ball, a pregnancy labor and exercise ball, one of these big ones. So that's really cool. I wanted one of these for my last pregnancy, but I was too cheap to buy one. So I'm excited to use that. As my pregnancy progresses, I got new weightlifting gloves because I'm going to be legit like that. And I got a Fitbit. I got the Charge 2 version, whatever, model of Fitbit. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. This is just shit that I bought on my own because I wanted it. But I'm really, really excited to start using this to track my steps that I'm taking every day and to log my water intake. And I don't know, they have like this sleep algorithm. I'm really interested to see how that goes because I don't really believe in those. And I'm excited to know my heart rate. Right now I have a heart rate of 86 beats per minute. So yeah, so I'm really excited. Fitness tracker, fitness gear. I'm going strong. No bleeding, no nothing yet. Placenta previa not really being an issue right now. Hopefully it stays that way and we can move onward. So